Social Security is now becoming more important than ever before. Millions and millions of Americans receive these payments on a monthly basis, to the tune of 72 million people receiving $1.6 trillion in benefits every year. But now Republicans and Democrats are starting to discuss and come together as to how they can fix and preserve Social Security for those 72 plus million people. Today we're going to discuss what they are currently discussing, what they're open to, the changes that they could potentially make, and what the former Social Security Commissioner had to say about his thoughts and why he thinks Congress is going to wait until the last minute. So I'm going to break all this down in just a moment. We're going to hear from the former commissioner as well. And I want to explain what former President Joe Biden is planning to do later on today that is actually going to spark more discussions for Social Security. So stick around and watch this entire video, and I'll explain exactly what is going on. But first, before I do, I ask one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now, let's begin. So let's get right into the news for today. First off, look at this. It says, breaking his silence, former President Joe Biden to speak out on Social Security. That's going to happen later on today. So we will talk more about that tomorrow, but I want to read you why this is such a big deal. And then we're going to listen to what, according to the former commissioner, the former Social Security Commissioner, what he believes Congress is going to do to help millions and millions of Americans. But first, look at this. It says former President Joe Biden is scheduled today evening to deliver his first public comments since leaving the White House, speaking on the importance of Social Security after 12 weeks in which President Donald Trump has regularly exonerated his predecessor while Biden has kept quiet. Now, I want to break this down, okay? What we know is that former President Joe Biden coming out and speaking out on Social Security. That's actually big. Now, does he going to have, any say in the negotiations that happen or really anything moving forward? No. But by him speaking out, there's many Democrats that are going to go with what he says. So this is either going to make things easier or harder for Congress to get a deal done. Now, again, I don't know what he's going to say. I don't know if he's going to come out and respond to what President Trump has been doing or what Elon Musk is doing, but I would assume he's going to be very vocal. Now, I want to read this to you as well, okay? According to multiple reports, what Congress is currently working on, and again, there's backroom discussions, but what they're currently working on is trying to figure out some type of a balance between providing more benefits to 72 million Americans and the cuts that are coming in the next 8 years. Because according to the recent update, we are going to see Social Security become insolvent in 2033. That means 72 million Americans are going to see a cut to their benefits. And this is both Republicans and Democrats that we can blame for this. It's not just one party, it is both, because both parties have had full power. Republicans have all the control right now. Democrats have had all the control in the past, and neither party did anything to protect and preserve Social Security. But what we're hearing is that back when Social Security was last updated, the major reform that was done, we had a life expectancy of about 63 years of age. Now it's 77. But yet we have not done anything to add more money into the pot. That's a problem. But listen to this. This is the former Social Security Commissioner. His name's Michael Astrew. Listen to what he had to say.
If Social Security were not here, you'd have about 22 million Americans who would be considered poor under the federal standards.
20 million Americans would be considered poor based off the federal standards today. That is if Social Security wasn't here. Millions of Americans pretty much rely on Social Security to pay their bills, to put food on the table and keep a roof over their head. And it's actually getting worse. Now, there are discussions of how we can fix Social Security, but at the same time, there's a lot of reports going on right now that are saying what the Department of Government Efficiency is doing, even though some say it's a sound strategy to reduce spending on the federal level, it's not a good strategy and it will actually hurt Social Security. So with Elon Musk promising the American people that what Doge is doing is going to provide greater benefits, not less, to Social Security, some question whether or not that's true. Listen to this. They say, how does Social Security get impacted when we see a reduction in federal workers? Simple. They say less workers means less tax revenue. Yeah, that is one. I'm going to get to how Congress plans on fixing Social Security in just a moment, but there's a couple more clips that I want you to listen to. Here's another one from the former commissioner, Michael Astrew.
You will hear a lot of people saying there will be no Social Security for you. And that's, in all likelihood, not true. So if Congress does nothing, they'll get about 80% of what they get now. And that will be a significant hit for a lot of Americans.
So he said right there, about 80% of what they get now. Now, I just want to bring this to your attention because we hear a lot of surveys where people are being asked, do they support Social Security? Would they support putting more money into Social Security? And many people, especially younger generations, are saying no. They don't support it because it will not be there when they're ready to collect. What Michael Astrew just said is that that's false. Social Security will still be around in the next 30, 40, 50 years. The problem is you're not going to be getting 100% of the benefit. Instead, you'll be getting about 80% because that's all they can afford. Again, Social Security is set to become insolvent in the next 8 years. I want you to listen to one other thing that he had to say. Listen to this, again, extremely important.
The likelihood is that Congress will panic right toward the deadline. There will be some cuts in benefits, and there'll be some increase in taxation.
Right there. He said what Congress is likely going to do is they're going to panic right before the deadline. The deadline, the insolvency date, it's sometime in 2033. So here's what they're saying. These are the ways Congress plans on ensuring that Social Security will be around for the next 75 years. They say we can increase the Social Security tax, which is currently at 12.4%. It's 6.2% for the employee, 6.2% for the employer. Maybe we push it up to 13%, where it's 6.5 and 6.5. That's up for discussion. The next one is decrease the monthly benefit amount. Currently, it's expected to be 80% in 2033. Some are saying that maybe in the next few years, we might have to reduce that. Instead of going from 100 to 80% in 2033, maybe by 2030, we go from 100% to 95. So at least we get a little more benefit for longer, but it's still a reduction. Again, it's up for discussion. Another one, how can we eliminate people that should not be receiving Social Security? That's something that the Department of Government Efficiency is doing right now. And there's people that question whether or not that's a good thing to see people pretty much thrown out there on their own and they're not receiving any benefit whatsoever. Here's the next thing they're talking about. Delaying the retirement age. Currently, early retirement is at 62. Full retirement age is at 67. Some say let's push that back 1 to 2 years. But there's other reports that say every year we push back the full retirement age, it actually reduces your total lifetime benefit of 7% per year. So if we push it back by 2 years, that's a 14% reduction in your total lifetime benefit. Yeah, it's a substantial amount of money. Another thing they're talking about is raising the taxable portion of your income. Currently in 2025, it's $176,100. They say if we can actually increase that amount to, let's say, $200, $250, or there's no cap on it, that means every single dollar would be taxable. That means the millionaires and billionaires are going to pay Social Security tax on 100% of their benefits. Yeah, it's a substantial amount of money, and that right there would solve the Social Security problem. But it's not something that Congress wants to put forward because this is going to push more and more people out of the United States, not bring us back in. They also say invest Social Security contributions into the stock market as opposed to Treasury bills. Yeah, it's possible. However, in certain risky economies or economic situations like we're in right now, some say it might not be the best time to put 100% of what we are contributing into the stock market, because what if we do dip into recession or potentially a depression and the market sells off? That means we would not even be able to afford 100% of benefits in the next several years, maybe not even 80%. We might be down to 40 to 50%. Again, that's a scary thought. And then the last one. This is exactly what the Department of Government Efficiency is working on. They're saying we need to eliminate fraud. However, there are several reports saying that less than 1% of all Social Security benefits are being going to fraudulent payments or to some type of fraudster. So keep that in mind. As of right now, there's a lot of ideas being thrown around, but nobody's coming forward with a sound plan that more and more lawmakers want to pass. But according to the former Social Security Commissioner, Michael Astrew, he's saying that the problem right now is that nobody wants to vote on a bill that could potentially cost them their seat in the House or the Senate. So again, I bring this to your attention because right now there's a lot of discussions being had, but as far as a bill being introduced, potentially put on the floor of the House and the Senate and passed, well, that may be highly unlikely, simply because nobody wants to lose their seat. So we'll see what happens moving forward, but we are getting more and more updates on Social Security, and with former President Joe Biden coming forward and discussing this might actually spark more controversy, or it could actually spark the discussions where maybe somebody brings something to the table. So we'll see, but that's what we know as of today. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.